Welcome back, Twisters, and hey there, hockey fans. Nick here, and today we're going to be talking about number 28 on the San Jose Sharks, and that is Timo Meier. He is off to a tremendous start for this team as they are now 5-3-0, just 8 games into the season, about 10% in. So let's deep dive into the Swiss Winger's performance so far. But of course, before I get started, make sure if you haven't already, click that red subscribe button down below and join the Twist Brigade, especially if you're a Sharks fan. I do cover them on this channel from time to time. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, so Timo Meier in the 8th game of the season against the Winnipeg Jets scores the overtime winner on the power play and logs 22 minutes and 9 seconds of time on ice, and that was certainly needed as the Sharks had 7 players out due to COVID-related reasons. So Timo, Hurdle, Burns, Ferraro, and a few more other guys there really stepped up, not to mention the young guys played particularly well. But at 25 years old, we're seeing Timo Meier really come into his own, hopefully, and in the prime of his career, set the tone for this team offensively and defensively. He's actually looked pretty good as well. So looking at his statistics so far, he leads all Sharks in scoring with 5 goals, 6 assists, that's tied with Logan Couture, and 11 points through 8 games. So he's on pace to score something like 110 points, which I don't expect by any means. But if this guy can, be closer to that 66-point pace that he had 3 seasons ago, then maybe this team has a fighting chance in this otherwise fairly weak Pacific Division. He also leads the team with 37 shots on goal. That's 10 more than the next guy, who is Brent Burns. He leads the team in hits with 18, and he's second among forwards with 7 block shots. So putting in the effort at the defensive end of the ice as well. So let's compare Timo's performance through the 8-game mark this year compared to last year and the year before. So if you look at 3 seasons ago, he was playing with Joe Pavelski on the top line, certainly reaped the rewards of that, and then he had 2 down years. So the 8-game mark in the 2019-20 season. So he had 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points, a -2 rating, 23 shots on goal, and he did have 18 minutes and 23 seconds of average time on ice. So he did have his opportunities, but he wasn't burying them as much back then. And then when you look at 7 games later, so 15 games on the season, he still just had 2 goals and 2 assists with a -6 rating. So a really poor start compared to the season before when he really broke out. And then the next season, so that was really earlier this calendar year, he had 1 goal and 4 assists for 5 points through 8 games. He had a -2 rating, 25 shots, and just 15 minutes and 2 seconds of time on ice. And as we saw, he was frequently demoted to the 3rd line. I think he even played 4th line minutes at times as well. And through 16 games last season, he only had 2 goals and 5 assists for a +1 rating. So really, if you take those 15 or 16 games from those past 2 seasons, he had in total, I think, 7 points one year, and he had 4 points the other year. So literally, Timo Meier has already tied his scoring mark through 15 or 16 games in the past 2 seasons combined. So this guy is really having an impact for this team. Now, in the past 2 seasons, especially last season, I recall Brett Hedican in particular really dogging Timo Meier, really calling him out for his lack of defensive efforts out there. But this year, he seems to be turning that around pretty darn well. So let's look at some of the advanced statistics. I'll explain this for those of you who aren't as familiar with these. So when it comes to all situations, and Timo is playing 2 minutes and 46 seconds a night on the power play, at least that's what I recall. So he's starting 58.8% of draws in the offensive zone in all situations combined. So this guy is 3 times out of 5 almost, he's in the offensive zone when there's a face-off. So he's not playing as much in his own zone. His Corsi for percentage here, the CF percentage, is 57.7. Basically, this is a metric of how many shots you're able to generate when you're on the ice versus opponents generating chances when you're on the ice. So that correlation there between 58.8% for offensive zone start percentage and 57.7% Corsi for percentage. In other words, pretty much when Timo's on the ice, he's going to be playing primarily offensively, and so he's generating plenty of chances, and he's surrendering fewer chances because he's playing less in the defensive zone. So not like amazing numbers there, but things get a little bit better when we take a look at 5-on-5 situations. Let's dive a little bit deeper, looking purely at 5-on-5. So Timo on the season is actually starting only 37.5% of draws in the offensive zone. So he's primarily taking draws in the defensive zone. So when he's not on the power play, that's where you can find him when there's a face-off. However, his Corsi for percentage is 50.2%. So in other words, he and his teammates are doing a really good job at limiting the number of chances that other teams are getting, and he's also putting pucks on net in those times 5-on-5 when he's in the other team's zone attacking. Additionally, as you can see here, goaltenders have a save percentage of .950 when he's on the ice 5-on-5. That is absolutely outstanding. And as you compare this to previous years, it was .910 last year, which actually was not bad at all. But the 2 seasons before that, 87.7 and 89.7% respectively. Of course, those were the down years of Martin Jones, but the goaltending has been better for the Sharks. Nonetheless, I think these numbers, if Timo can be at this level 5-on-5, that is fantastic, especially if he's on a top line. You know, Logan Couture is a veteran. He's been always very good in all 3 zones. However, you've got a rookie there in Jonathan Dahlen as well. So to see this top line carry numbers like this is very encouraging early on. So why is Timo Meier off to such a great start from an eye test standpoint? Well, first of all, from an ear test standpoint, he's not exactly being called out defensively this time around. And of course, the numbers certainly point in his favor that he is putting in the efforts there. Absolutely. But offensively, right? With Timo Meier, he's a big forward out there. He can play in front of the net. He's not going to be the most flashy with the puck. He's not going to be a sharpshooter out there. But nonetheless, he's simplified his game. He's driving the play a lot more, and he's a lot more assertive out there. So I wanted to look at one particular example. I wish I could provide footage, but I could get a copyright strike for this. So let's look at that game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So the Leafs had tied the game at 1-1. And there's a face-off, of course, at center ice. So 5 players are moving toward the Toronto zone because the puck's going to go probably behind the goal line. Timo catches up and sprints ahead and gets to the puck before everybody else. He throws it on net immediately, so forcing Jack Campbell to make a save. He then is able to retrieve the puck just a few seconds later along the half board, and he's recognizing that there's some traffic coming in front of the net. He takes a simplified approach. He says, hey, net traffic, I'll put the puck on net, we'll see what happens. Guess what? He scores, and the Sharks are able to retake the lead. Then you also look at the third period of that game, the first shift of that period. So he carries the puck deep into the Toronto Maple Leafs zone, and he's doing a better job of that on the season. Still not the guy I want to see go 1-on-3 out there, but nonetheless, he almost sets up a scoring chance. He get a good heads-up look, a pass that doesn't quite connect, but the puck stays at that end of the ice. He then fights off a defender behind the net, in addition to Willie Nylander. So he's using his physicality, his body, his positioning, and he's able to kick it over to Logan Couture. Well, pass it to Logan Couture. Logan finds Dahlen in front of the net. The Sharks take a 2-goal lead. Now you look at that kind of play from Timo Meier, and I want to take you back to 3 seasons ago, Game 7 against Vegas, when the Sharks are on that 5-minute power play, and they have a 3-3 tie. So Timo wins a very similar battle behind the net, and that eventually kicks out to Kevin LeBanc, and Timo Meier goes straight to the net, screens Marc-Andre Fleury brilliantly, and the Sharks take the lead in that game. So when you see that kind of play from Timo Meier early on in this season, that's a sign of great things to come. I don't know if he's going to be a point-per-game player, but nonetheless, he's creating tons of chances in the time that he has in the offensive zone, and man, I mean, he is certainly looking like the Sharks MVP so far this season. Anyway, what are your thoughts on Timo Meier so far this year? Be sure to let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, found it useful, leave a big thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you Twisters around for more San Jose Sharks content. Thanks so much for tuning in. Once again, I'm Nick, and I'll catch you Twisters later. Go Sharks.